My stepbrother acted as my boyfriend in every way possible, a tale of betrayal. The spring air was thick and humid, alive with the thumping rhythm of music that flowed through the packed house, heralding the beginning of yet another raucous student gathering. Fairy lights flickered softly in the gloom, weaving an atmosphere that danced between enchantment and a hint of the gritty. Mia, a small first-year student, lingered in a corner, her wild curls framing her face as her hazel eyes grew wide at the tumult surrounding her. She had promised to attend the party with a few classmates from her English literature seminar, but they had vanished into the crowd, leaving her feeling quite adrift. The crimson dress she donned was a bold shift from her typical wardrobe, lent by a friend who had confidently proclaimed it would be ideal for an evening such as this. It embraced her silhouette, highlighting her delicate form, and left her feeling vulnerable beneath the admiring gazes of the guests. Mia usually favored understated attire, yet this evening, she yearned to cast off her reserved nature, if only for a fleeting moment. "What are you up to all by yourself, lovely lady?" A resonant voice sliced through the melody, making Mia jump. She glanced over to find a young man with messy brown hair and captivating blue eyes. His features held a rugged charm, particularly highlighted by the playful smirk that danced across his lips. Mia knew him the moment she laid eyes on him. It was Jake, her stepbrother. She frequently felt a mix of intrigue and frustration at his irresistible allure. 2 years ago, fate intertwined their lives when their parents united in marriage, creating a family bond that neither had anticipated. Mia was quiet and introspective, while Jake was lively and bold. He frequently drew both trouble and attention in equal parts. As time passed, their relationship evolved into an intriguing tapestry, woven with playful exchanges, fiery disputes, and instances where the line separating siblings from something deeper felt almost translucent. "Hey, Jake," she replied, her voice almost drowned out by the thumping rhythm of the music. "The same question could be posed to you. Isn't it a bit past your prime to be showing up at a freshman gathering?" He chuckled, his eyes glinting with playful intent. "You are familiar with me, Mia. Age holds no significance." He leaned in, his breath a gentle warmth that danced against her ear. "I caught wind that this gathering boasted the finest libations. I felt compelled to arrive and experience the offerings firsthand." As he spoke, Mia caught fleeting reflections of themselves in a nearby mirror. With their matching eye colors and tousled dark hair, they truly bore a striking resemblance. It was an idea that had flitted through her thoughts on numerous occasions, often leaving her in a state of fluster. "Well, a dry campus isn't really my style," she remarked, dismissing her thoughts, "and I doubt anyone would confuse you for a naive newcomer." "You're a touch too." She paused, seeking the perfect word. "Untidy," Jake offered, raking his fingers through his hair, making it stand up even more wildly. "Somewhat untamed." "Feel free to share, sis. I won't take it to heart." Mia noticed the glimmer of laughter in his eyes, a daring invitation hanging in the air. "I was going to say captivating," she murmured, her pulse quickening as she grasped the weight of her words. A cluster of Jake's companions meandered by, one of them mumbling a greeting that hung in the air like a fog. "Hey Stone, who's the latest girl in your life? She has an undeniable charm." Mia's cheeks flushed as Jake's arm wrapped around her waist, drawing her nearer. "I've been telling her that all night," he declared, his tone dripping with mock outrage. Yet, she remains resolute, refusing to acknowledge the truth. A lively uproar erupted when a friend gave Jake a playful shove, almost causing his drink to topple over. "What is there to confess?" the friend inquired, his speech thick and muddled. "That the two of you are perfectly suited for one another. At last, the ideal match. Why don't you just find a place to be together already?" The laughter erupted from the group, and Mia felt her cheeks flush a deep crimson. Jake's hold on her grew firmer, and she felt the warmth radiating from his body against her side. "Disregard them," he murmured, his tone soft and tinged with an unsettling closeness. "They're inebriated, perpetually uttering absurdities." She lifted her gaze to him, their eyes locking for a fleeting instant before she averted her gaze, a swirl of emotions awakening inside her. Mia had always taken pride in her uniqueness, setting herself apart from the girls who swooned over her stepbrother. Yet this evening, with the intoxicating presence of alcohol surrounding him, her determination began to falter. As the celebration unfolded, Mia and Jake remained near one another, irresistibly attracted like two magnets. Was it the drink igniting this secret bond? Or was there a deeper intrigue lurking just below the surface? Something that had lingered in the shadows, patiently awaiting recognition. Mia had always been acutely conscious of the impression she made on those around her. Her petite stature and fragile beauty frequently captured attention. Yet this evening, she sensed a unique force within her, an allure that transcended her youthful appeal. As she sat across from Jake in the car, her fingers glided over the smooth skin of her inner thigh, a touch that balanced on the edge of innocence and allure. The red dress, now wrinkled from the evening's escapades, hinted at more than it hid, and she understood that the enticing reveal was a powerful temptation. The aroma of his cologne intertwined with the leather seats, a blend of fresh cinnamon and sandalwood that she frequently connected to him. In the dim light, his profile stood out, a strong jawline highlighted by the soft glow of the street lamps as they flickered by. His eyes, a striking blue, darted between the road and her, the smirk on his lips masking the tautness in his frame. "You appear." He hesitated, seeking the perfect word, his eyes wandering over her bare legs, delicate and radiant in the soft light of the dashboard. "Unforgettable." Mia locked eyes with him, her hand rising steadily, pausing playfully just before reaching its goal. "That's me, the undeniable force, and you're." Her voice softened to a gentle murmur. "A steadfast presence." He swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing, and she reveled in the power to provoke such an instinctive reaction from this outwardly self-assured man. "Not quite as unyielding at the moment," he admitted, his voice rough and worn. Her laughter danced through the air, light and melodic, a striking contrast to the raw energy that surged between them. As she leaned forward, her hair, a flowing cascade of dark curls, enveloped them like a soft curtain. The fragrance of her presence, a blend of her perfume, and the subtle hint of spilled drinks from the gathering, enveloped him completely. "What are you up to, Mia?" His tone carried a hint of caution, yet he remained still, allowing her hand to glide deeper, daring fate and decorum. Her fingers brushed against the delicate lace of her undergarment, and his gaze deepened with longing. She observed him, captivated by the dance of feelings on his striking features, the tension between desire and self-control. Her thumb glided over her skin, a soft touch that stole her breath away. She replied, her voice unwavering, "Just checking if you're as daring as you claim to be, despite the quaking inside. Or is that merely a performance?" Jake's fingers clenched around the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white against the dark leather. "I'm not the type to engage in games, Mia." With a sudden grace, she advanced, narrowing the gap that separated them. Her lips grazed his, a fleeting whisper of a kiss that ignited a longing in both of them. "Then show me, Jake. Reveal the depths of your daring spirit." He reacted without hesitation, his free hand gently cradling her cheek, his thumb gliding along her jawline with a delicate grace. He gently followed the outline of her lower lip, a wordless plea before his lips captured hers in a passionate kiss, intense and lingering. Mia's fingers pressed into his shoulders, and she savored the essence of the night on his tongue. The beer, the faint trace of cigarettes, and the distinct sweetness that was, unmistakably Jake. Pulling away from the kiss, she let out a breathless laugh, a surge of wild exhilaration coursing through her. "Indeed, you had a point there. That was certainly daring." He breathed out gently, his gaze reflecting a blend of desire and uncertainty. I don't want to overstep, Mia, She pressed a finger gently against his lips, bringing a hush to his words. "Enough with the chatter, Jake. Let's simply follow the unfolding of the night." With each twist and turn of the road, a thrill of expectation coursed through her, heightening her senses. The atmosphere inside the vehicle grew dense, alive with unvoiced longings and potential outcomes. She pondered if he sensed the rhythm of her heart, or if her uneven breaths echoed his own. In the stillness of the car, with the city lights blurring by, Mia's anxious assurance blossomed into a deeper realization. This transcended mere boundary pushing. It was a tale of surrendering to an unfiltered, undeniable bond with a man who, despite all reason, captivated her completely. As Jake brought the car to a stop, a fleeting sense of disappointment washed over Mia, the exhilarating journey now at its end. Yet, when her gaze met his, the tempest swirling in his eyes revealed that the night had only just begun. Her heart raced, a blend of nervousness and anticipation, as they stepped out of the car to confront the unknown that awaited them. Mia awoke to the familiar ache of a hangover, the remnants of last night's revelry lingering in her mind. Clutching a steaming cup of robust coffee, she settled into the comforting routine of her post-party mornings, seeking solace in the warmth of the brew. She wandered into the kitchen, her head throbbing in sync with the lingering rhythm that resonated from the party's aftermath in her thoughts. Jake was already there, the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee intertwining with the crisp, earthy scent that lingered on him from his morning shower. His hair, still damp, tumbled effortlessly across his forehead, highlighting his striking features. "Hey," he greeted, his voice thick with the remnants of sleep. He filled a mug with steaming coffee, and gently pushed it across the counter in her direction. "Thanks," Mia managed, her voice raspy, as she cradled the warm ceramic mug in her hands. The initial taste was divine, the coffee's rich bitterness cascading down her throat, easing the echoes of the night before. Jake leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching her with a gaze so intense it caused her fingers to grip the mug more tightly. "You look well-rested," he remarked, a playful edge to his voice. She smiled, a hint of shyness creeping in as his steady gaze lingered on her. "It was a wonderful evening, wouldn't you agree?" Her voice resonated with confidence, beckoning him to recognize the silent recollections that bound them together. His eyes narrowed just a bit, a brief spark of something fiery and intense crossing his face before he turned away. "Indeed, it was." In those 4 words lay a silent agreement, a quiet recognition of the tension that had crackled in the air between them only hours before. Yet Mia was not one to let matters rest, particularly now that she had begun to pursue the longing she had felt from him for what seemed like an eternity. In the days that followed, Mia took every opportunity to capture Jake's gaze. She discarded her typical layers, opting for thin tank tops that clung to her form, subtly showcasing the faintest suggestion of her curves with each movement. She donned shorts that barely concealed, delighting in the awareness that her stepbrother's gaze lingered on her, even if just for a fleeting moment. As the afternoon sun streamed through the living room, Mia rose from the sofa with a deliberate stretch, her tank top inching up to reveal a hint of her bare midriff, catching Jake's eye in the process. She strolled to the fridge, and as she leaned down to grab a drink, she paused, making sure her back was arched just right to highlight her curves beautifully. Jake cleared his throat from the couch, but Mia remained unfazed, slowly closing the fridge door with a satisfied smirk playing on her lips. She held his gaze, her eyes glinting with a hint of challenge. One day, Mia came back from the store, her arms heavy with grocery bags. Jake lounged on the sofa, idly flipping through the TV channels. As she placed the bags on the ground, her tank top slipped up, revealing her smooth, sun-kissed skin. She turned to him, their eyes meeting for a moment as his gaze wandered over her bare skin, only to dart away in a flash of embarrassment. "Looking for assistance?" she inquired, her tone playful, as she motioned to the sofa, intentionally highlighting the length of her bare thighs. He averted his gaze swiftly, a flush of color creeping into his cheeks. "No, thank you. It's great to have you back, considering you're often out with your friends." Mia sensed a trace of jealousy in his voice, a possessiveness that piqued her curiosity. She stepped closer, closing the distance that separated them. "It's my day off from them," she purred, her gaze locking onto his. His eyes danced over her figure, pausing just a moment too long on her legs before he finally looked away. "Just be careful not to exhaust yourself while assisting me." He made a quip, trying to ease the tension that had thickened in the air. She chuckled gently, her fingers grazing his as she strolled by, a pure connection that ignited a thrill in them both. She nodded thoughtfully, making her way to the stairs, the sound of Jake's shower echoing just moments after. The heated moments were paused for the time being, as Mia allowed the dance of attraction to progress at its own tantalizing rhythm, each instant layering upon the last until their pent-up longings could no longer be restrained. Mia glided through the house, a playful smile dancing on her lips as she reminisced about the earlier moment in the living room. The delicate interplay of allure she had been crafting with Jake was deepening, each movement pulling them nearer to a brink that she both feared and longed to reach. Placing her freshly bought fruits on the kitchen counter, she tuned in closely, her heart racing at the sound of Jake's shower running upstairs. A shiver of excitement coursed through her as she remembered the image of his toned body shimmering with droplets, a memory that lingered since that fateful moment in the bathroom. A fire ignited within her as she ran her fingers through her slightly damp hair, remnants of the outdoor humidity clinging to the strands. She glided toward the bathroom, her bare feet whispering against the carpeted stairs, her heart racing with the thrill of what might unfold. As she approached the bathroom door, the steam billowing out from underneath it brushed against her face, a playful hint of the warmth that awaited her inside. Mia's eyelids gently closed for a fleeting instant as she breathed in the warm, fragrant air, rich with the aroma of Jake's shampoo and soap. She opened her eyes, the vision of Jake's glistening, sculpted form etched clearly in her imagination. With a deep breath, she swung the door open. Mia entered the bathroom, and Jake's startled cry echoed against the tiled walls of the shower. "Mia, what in the world dash?" She let out a soft chuckle, its tone smooth and inviting in the cozy atmosphere, crafted to entice and draw in. "Simply, I'm here to lend a hand if you find yourself in need." He scanned her with an intensity that deepened his gaze, his body tightening in response. The water flowed over his strong physique, highlighting the interplay of defined angles and smooth contours. "Couldn't you have held off until I was done with my shower?" he growled, his voice hinting at something deeper. Mia's eyes followed the shimmering droplets as they danced over his shoulders, chest, and abdomen, only to vanish beneath the cascading spray. "I believe you know that my patience has run out, Jake." Her voice was soft and gravelly, reflecting her purpose. The silence lingered, thick with unvoiced longings and the rhythmic pulse of the shower's cascading water. At last, Jake cleared his throat, shattering the enchanting silence. "We really shouldn't, this is absolutely wild. We are step-siblings." Mia completed the task for him, her gaze locked onto his as she stepped closer, relishing the warmth radiating from his form. "Yet, we are grown-ups, Jake. Have you ever pondered what it might feel like?" His eyes had fluttered closed, as if refusing to behold her presence, enchanting and alluring, beckoning him with her understated yet unmistakable invitation. "I've often pondered," he confessed, his tone rough around the edges. "But it's," Mia interrupted, her fingers softly quieting his unvoiced objections. "It's all right," she murmured, inching even nearer, the warmth of her body now merely a breath apart from his. "I see what you mean. And I share that sentiment." He swallowed hard, his throat tightening as his Adam's apple moved up and down. "This shouldn't happen," he whispered, his voice shaky, as he reached out, almost as if to push her away. Instead, his hand hovered, trembling, just above her skin. "Why not indeed?" she inquired softly, her voice a whisper as she leaned closer, her lips almost touching his. "We are two willing souls, irresistibly pulled together by an unseen power." Jake tightened his hold on the shower controls, the sharp click of the temperature adjustment slicing through the air as he fought to keep his body's response to her charm in check. "What if we are unable to halt our course?" He succeeded, his eyes snapping open to meet hers with intensity. "Perhaps we ought to reconsider," she whispered, her lips hovering so near that the words barely escaped them. With a quick, decisive movement, she retreated, the cascade of water that had surrounded them transforming back into an impenetrable barrier. As she grasped the door handle, the warm mist wrapped around her like a lingering embrace, urging her to pause before stepping into the unknown. "Mia, hold on," Jake called out, his voice raspy, a blend of relief and yearning echoing in the air. She paused, yet remained facing away, her fingers resting on the doorknob, her heart racing with a blend of thrill, trepidation, and longing. He continued, a palpable fragility seeped into his voice. I am unable to do that. It's not right. Mia's hand slipped from the door, her back turned to him as she spoke, her voice unwavering despite the tempest of feelings swirling inside her. Got it. However, I won't act as if it's not reciprocal, Jake. When that moment arrives and you find yourself unable to hold back any longer, don't count on me to follow suit. I refuse to say sorry for how I feel. With that thought, she swung the door wide, stepping out of the humid bathroom and away from her stepbrother's intense stare, her body alive with the awareness that, somehow, everything between them had shifted forever. The hands of the old clock crept slowly toward the hour of 1 a.m. Mark watched as Mia strode down the corridor, her resolve growing stronger with each step. As she lingered outside Jake's bedroom, the delicate fabric of her nightwear brushed against her skin, each whisper heightening her anticipation. A gentle breeze slipped through the slightly open door, bringing with it the faint aroma of Jake's cologne. Mia's heart raced as she opened the door, her eyes slowly adapting to the room illuminated by the soft glow of the moonlight. Jake reclined on his side, his exposed chest rising and falling in a rhythmic dance of steady breaths. His hair, a delightful mess from slumber, tumbled over his forehead, gently blurring the defined contours of his face. Is that you, Jake? She murmured, her voice a soft breath in the stillness of the room. His eyes fluttered open, the striking blue of his irises catching the faint glow of the dim light. Mia. His voice carried a hint of surprise, yet he remained silent. He simply rolled onto his back, arms resting comfortably behind his head. What seems to be the problem? At the foot of the bed, she paused, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her nightshirt. Rest eluded me. The words scarcely concealed her genuine motives. He observed her in the dim light, his eyes wandering over her bare legs, bathed in the soft silver radiance streaming through the window. All right, let's do this. He gestured to the space next to him, his movement and voice betraying a blend of acceptance and anticipation. Mia felt her heart race as she settled onto the bed. The sheets retained a lingering warmth from Jake's presence, while a heady, masculine aroma intertwined with the delicate notes of her perfume, creating an intimate atmosphere. You know, Mia. Jake began, his voice barely above a whisper. We can discuss whatever you wish, Her hand, seemingly guided by an unseen force, reached for his, their fingers intertwining in a gesture both familiar and electrifying. Not all things can be expressed through words, Jake. Their gazes intertwined, carrying the burden of silent thoughts, longings, and inquiries. The stillness expanded, resonating solely with the rhythm of their breaths, each one becoming increasingly strained with time. With a measured grace that sent a thrill through Jake, Mia leaned in, her lips grazing his in a gentle, ephemeral touch that conveyed so much more than words ever could. His breath caught in his throat, and as she withdrew slightly, her hand slipped beneath the sheet, fingers searching for the warmth of his desire, which had been quietly building all day. A sudden gasp revealed Jake's astonishment at her audacity, yet he remained still, his body taut under her caress. Her fingers wrapped around him, initiating a deliberate, agonizing tempo that made him arch into her hand, his head tilting back, his throat bared and tense. Mia, you don't. His voice faded, his eyes shutting tight against the overwhelming waves of pleasure she was skillfully drawing out of him. Quietly, she murmured, her hand rising to outline the defined curve of his jaw, her thumb gently gliding over his slightly parted lips. I'll take care of this for you. Each movement was purposeful, filled with intention. Her touch was both delicate and assertive, a playful journey that elicited a groan from him, his body quaking with the struggle to remain composed. As he approached the edge, she hurried her steps, her breath warm against his ear as she urged Jake, let go. His conclusion was tumultuous, his form quaking beneath her caress, a guttural sound breaking free from him. In the silence that followed, words eluded them both. Both ensnared in the whirlwind of the moment, her hand still gripping his, while his fingers intertwined with hers. Their breaths, once quick and frantic, gradually eased into a calm rhythm, accompanied only by the delicate whisper of the sheets and the steady, soothing tick of the clock. With a hesitant breath, Mia pulled away from Jake's hold, his gaze laden with a mix of contentment and unasked questions that lingered between them. She stood up, the fabric slipping down to unveil her delicate form, the translucent nightgown highlighting rather than hiding. "Why is that?" Jake's voice emerged as a faint rasp, heavy with unvoiced longings and the burden of their hidden truth. Mia adjusted her nightshirt, her gaze locked onto his. "Rest eluded me as thoughts of you danced in my mind." Her voice carried a gentle weight, both a promise and a regret intertwined. With a final glance, she pivoted away, abandoning him to the tumult of feelings and the faint trace of her fragrance that hung in the air of his room. She moved silently through the corridor, her heart a whirlwind of conflicting feelings, guilt, desire, and an exhilarating sense of control that both excited and frightened her. She returned to her own bed, her thoughts still alive with the echo of his touch, the sweetness of his taste, and the melody of his unguarded pleasure. A flicker of a plan sparked in her mind, a secret game with rules known only to her, one she was determined to play through to its unexpected and fulfilling end. As dawn unfolded, the sun's beams pierced the curtains, and Mia stirred with a newfound determination. Her mind drifted to Jake, recalling the warmth of his skin against hers, the flavor of his breath, and the sensation of his body yielding to her caress. She stretched with a sense of ease, a slow smile blossoming on her lips as she contemplated her next steps in the intricate game of allure she had begun. With each step down the staircase, her bare feet glided softly over the carpet, while the inviting aroma of freshly brewed coffee beckoned her, leading her to the heart of the home, the kitchen. Jake leaned against the counter, his strong back facing her, shoulders swaying gently as he stirred his mug, each motion echoing the dance of their lips from the night before. Mia hurried her pace at the sight that lay ahead. She glided into the kitchen, exuding confidence, her hips swaying with each step, the soft nightgown brushing against her legs as she walked. "Good morning, Jake," she purred, her voice a careful counterpoint to the restless energy simmering inside her. He turned his head, a flicker of a smile playing at the edge of his lips as he beheld her, a vision of tousled hair and exposed skin draped in delicate fabric. "Morning," he grunted, the single syllable rich with layers of unexpressed feelings. Mia glided by him, her shoulder brushing against his, her intent clear in the way she paused, as if claiming her space in that fleeting moment. She watched as his chest rose and fell with a sharp inhale and exhale, yet he remained silent, simply turning back to his coffee, his hands clutching the mug with a newfound intensity. The day unfolded with a palpable tension, thicker than the Florida humidity clinging to the windows. Mia danced through the house in light, airy garments, an unintentional enchantress, her every motion a captivating melody that Jake struggled to resist, his attention drifting between his tasks and the tempting allure that surrounded him. They gathered again for dinner, nibbling at the food as if the dish were merely a side note to the deeper tensions brewing beneath the surface. The wine flowed freely, unbinding their words, and before long, the conversation drifted to former loves, a seemingly harmless subject that swiftly morphed into a tapestry of suggestive remarks and playful implications. "Do you recall that fellow, Josh?" Mia chuckled, her eyes glinting with playful mischief as she took another sip of wine, referring to him as one plump chump when he wasn't around. "I'm sure you could teach him a lesson or two." Jake sputtered, wine spilling from his lips, a fiery glint in his gaze as he hastily wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "I can't quite remember that nickname, but I suppose he was merely regrettable." "It was a pity their time together was so brief," she playfully remarked, her knee grazing his beneath the table, a momentary contact that felt deliberate. He shifted in his seat, his expression revealing the struggle between control and longing. "Well, Mia, I have no doubt you could teach him a thing or two, couldn't you?" She leaned forward, her silhouette accentuated, an invitation unmistakably vivid. "Oh, I could give it a shot, but I believe you would excel at it far more." Jake's breath caught in his throat, and for a fleeting instant, it appeared he might stretch out his hand toward her from across the table. Yet, he held back, his grip on the fork so fierce that it seemed the metal might warp under the pressure. As the last bite of dinner was savored, Mia proposed the idea of enjoying a movie together. Jake eagerly accepted, the idea of a diversion from their mounting tension enticing to them both. As they nestled together on the soft couch, their thighs brushing against one another, their gazes were fixed on the screen, yet their minds wandered far beyond it. The film unfolded as a steamy romance, showcasing a couple whose connection ignited with undeniable chemistry. As the actors immersed themselves in a passionate scene, Mia's hand, meant to grasp the wine glass on the coffee table, brushed against Jake's arm, igniting an unexpected spark between them. He faced her, longing igniting in his gaze, the facade of composure he had upheld throughout the day starting to splinter. "That's quite enough of this." With a sudden movement, he placed his glass aside and drew her close, sealing his lips against hers. The kiss was intense and fervent, his lips pressing hard in their desire, aiming to consume rather than merely discover. Mia surrendered to his embrace, matching his passion with her own, her fingers weaving through his hair as she fueled his longing, their tongues engaging in a quiet contest for control. The film unfolded, its music a faint backdrop to their uneven breaths, and the whisper of fabric as they explored each other's forms, craving the warmth of flesh on flesh, to devour and be devoured. As their hands reached out to discover, to understand and seize, the moment shifted, yanking them back to the world around them. They pulled away, breaths quickened, their lips tender and marked, gazes heavy with longing. Jake's hand lingered in the air, just inches from Mia's face, caught in a moment of hesitation, weighing the choice between resuming their previous connection or stepping back into the comfort of distance. Her hand echoed his, suspended like a celestial being at the brink of ruin, fingers arching toward the allure of his caress. Their gazes met, the atmosphere around them vibrating with the weight of past events and the promise of what lay ahead, while the stillness of the room posed a question neither was prepared to confront. A fervent connection ignited between them, a power as instinctive as the ocean's rhythm, as untamed as nature itself. Jake's lips captured Mia's, fervent and urgent, each kiss a testament to unspoken desire. Her hands, warm with longing, traced the firm contours of his chest, the muscles taut under her touch. He let out a deep, primal sound, a growl that echoed his raw desire, as he pulled at her shirt, revealing the soft curves of her body, the lace of her bra a tantalizing hint against her skin. She leaned into his touch, her body swaying in a captivating rhythm, a beckoning that was impossible to resist. As she straddled, their movements became a vivid tapestry of instinctual yearning, each thrust and grind weaving a narrative of raw passion. The coarse denim of his jeans pressed against her delicate skin, heightening the sensations and igniting a blaze of longing. With labored breaths, they ripped at one another's garments, yearning for the sweet contact of flesh against flesh. Their eager hands roamed freely, exploring every contour with a sense of urgency, tracing the lines and dips, discovering each other's longings through the art of touch. Jake drew her in, playfully teasing her earlobe, his warm breath brushing against her neck. "You're driving me crazy," he murmured, his voice thick with desire. She playfully nipped at his ear, her fingers gliding over his chest, igniting a cascade of sensations that made him shudder. "And you are infuriating," she purred, her words a test as much as a vow. Their journey deepened, lips and fingers discovering fresh delights. The sofa beneath them creaked, burdened by the intensity of their fervor, a silent witness to their fiery exchange. Jake's hands glided down, embarking on an intimate exploration that sent shivers through her, finally arriving at the button of her jeans. He lingered, his lips igniting a path from her jaw, across her neck, and down to her collarbone, his breath teasing her skin as he murmured softly. "Do you really think so?" "Indeed," she murmured in response, her gaze locked with his, a blend of trepidation and longing swirling within them. "Absolutely certain." His fingers skillfully navigated the button, his hand gliding inside to touch her with tenderness. She inhaled sharply, her body curving in response, fingers gripping his shoulders as his lips met hers, igniting a cascade of delight within her. The room resonated with her soft sounds, each inhale a silent request for deeper connection, as he tenderly guided her to the edge of bliss. Just as she teetered on the edge of bliss, he paused, lifting her back, his gaze deep with the allure of what was yet to come. "Not at this moment." Not here, he murmured, his gravelly whisper betraying the quivering, desperate longing in his tone. Her laughter danced in the air, a blend of longing and rebellion, as she playfully tugged at his jeans. He stood there, a powerful presence, as she slowly undressed him, their hands entwined in a dance of desire and immediacy. With a rush of urgency, they ascended the stairs, their bodies intertwined, the intensity of their desire almost tangible. The bedroom door creaked open, and the flickering candles on the nightstand bathed the room in a soft, inviting light. They crashed onto the bed, a chaotic mix of limbs and lips, their mouths pressing together with urgency, hands moving with practiced ease, the sheets stirring beneath them like soft murmurs of support. In the haven of their intertwined dreams, they explored one another, bodies connecting in a delicate ballet of closeness and surrender. The bedroom wrapped around them in a soft amber light as they tumbled onto the bed, their movements a fluid dance of unvoiced longings. Mia's heart raced as Jake loomed over her, his intense gaze reflecting the storm brewing within her own soul. Their lips met, sealing a promise of limitless delight, as their bodies carried on the conversation that had begun in the dimness of the hallway and the lounge below. Each touch, each gentle stroke, spoke volumes beyond the limitations of language, silently revealing the profound intensity of their mutual desire. Jake adjusted his stance, leaning closer to her, their bodies sinking deeper into the soft mattress beneath them. She revealed her innermost self to him, yearning for the bond that their coming together could create. It was an awakening of their innermost desires, a quiet exchange in a dialect known only to them. The bed creaked, a melodic backdrop to their rising tempo, each motion a proclamation of fervor and the pressing need to unite completely. Mia's fingers pressed into Jake's back, a testament to her dedication to the moment, as the fervor of their connection deepened with every shared breath and soft murmur of their names. He refined his method, a seamless connection that only their forms could truly understand. Each motion was intentional, yet instinctive, a choreography they had practiced countless times in their thoughts. The atmosphere was thick with the echoes of their connection, where the only harmony came from their uneven breaths and the occasional, breathy sighs that slipped from their mouths, adding to the raw symphony of the moment. In this harmonious dance, they discovered a rhythm that both fulfilled and pushed them onward, each urging the other to the edge. With a fierce growl, Jake seized the moment, his body taut with anticipation, while Mia's response soared into a sharp, piercing cry. In the aftermath, they lingered in their post-dance embrace, their bodies moving together, savoring the warmth of a moment filled with mutual delight. Mia locked eyes with Jake, her gaze steady as if she were delving into the silent depths of his soul, seeking the truths that lay hidden beneath the surface. Jake's fingers glided over the contours of her face in a gentle touch, seeking to soften the weight of their shared experience, a fleeting escape from the truth of what had just unfolded. "What have we created?" he murmured, his tone thick with a blend of longing, haste, and a hint of worry. Mia paused, feeling the weight of her choice, her heart racing from their recent embrace, and the realization that everything was about to change forever. "We've made a decision, Jake, and I believe we both understand that there's no going back from here." He clasped her hand, his hold firm, his face a tapestry of feelings. "Indeed, but isn't that what we both yearned for deep down from the very beginning?" She nodded, recognizing the truth in his words. The complexities of their choices loomed large, the boundaries they had crossed felt both thrilling and dangerous. Yet, the satisfaction of pursuing their desires rendered every risk worthwhile. Following their fervent embrace, they discovered a fresh balance, a connection forged through the silent expressions that their intense interaction had unveiled. Their quietude at this moment conveyed much, deferring the heavy responsibility of facing the repercussions to a later time. The dawn tiptoed in, draping the world in soft hues of gray, mirroring the uncertain thoughts swirling in Mia and Jake's minds as they slowly emerged from the comforting embrace of sleep. Mia was the first to awaken, her hand instinctively reaching for Jake's arm that lay heavily across her waist. Her fingers traced the contours of his forearm, a quiet acknowledgement of the fervor that had led them to this moment. As she gently worked her way out of Jake's hold, her actions stirred a quiet sound from him, and his eyes fluttered open. With a blend of drowsiness and bewilderment in her ocean blue eyes, the memories of the previous night surged forth as she gazed at him, her heart racing, overwhelmed by a whirlwind of feelings, exhilaration, fear, and a hint of shame enveloping her. As Mia slipped out of bed, she donned Jake's oversized shirt, the comforting scent of him wrapping around her like a warm embrace as she descended the stairs. The echoes of the previous night lingered in her thoughts, a soft allure urging her to glance back, yet she remained steadfast, directing her gaze ahead, concentrating on the wooden steps beneath her, each one taking her further from the unguarded closeness they had shared. The house lay in stillness, with only the steady tick-tock of the kitchen clock and the soft murmur of the refrigerator breaking the silence. She experienced a momentary realization, akin to the stillness that precedes chaos, where tranquility provided a brief escape from the impending tide of feelings and unsaid thoughts she sensed were on the horizon. Engrossed in her musings, she wandered into the kitchen, her footsteps gentle against the hardwood floor. As she filled the kettle, the echo of Jake's heavy footsteps on the stairs sent a thrill through her heart. She sensed him before his hand found its way to the small of her back, a touch that was both familiar and electrifying, sending a shiver coursing through her body. "Good morning," he rasped as he approached her, his voice rough from slumber and perhaps something deeper. Mia nodded, her throat tight with emotion, a mix of shame, excitement, and an indescribable yearning that sent shivers down her spine, warmed her skin, and set her thoughts spinning. Silence lingered between them, an elastic thread pulled tight by the burden of unvoiced thoughts, hidden truths, admissions, and a palpable tension that danced in the air with each charged look. She immersed herself in the familiar ritual of brewing coffee, the repetitive actions anchoring her in a reality that seemed to have spun off its axis. As she reached for her mug, Jake's fingers brushed against hers on the countertop, a fleeting contact that felt almost accidental, yet it ignited a spark within her. In that brief instant, their gazes intertwined, creating an unspoken agreement, a shared comprehension of the past that transcended language. They stood on the precipice of revelation, acutely aware that the truths hidden in the darkness could reshape their destinies in ways they could scarcely imagine. Instead, they opted to remain in this delicate space, acutely aware of the raw, pulsing tension that simmered just beneath the surface of each interaction. The minutes crawled, each second a painful reminder of the choice to remain silent, to simply exist in the soft glow of dawn, contemplating whether to leap forward or retreat from the edge of this mysterious yet compelling situation. Our tale finds Mia and Jake teetering on the brink of a pivotal choice, the aroma of desire thick around them, prompting the question, is this the climax of a fervent evening, or just the onset of a turbulent adventure from which they cannot escape?